Bex Sproul.
I'm Aisling Brennan.
I'm Lainey McIntyre.
And I'm Sophie Wood.
Tonight on the show we have a massive lineup. Lainey investigates what the Gold Coast is doing in response to the domestic violence crisis. Aisling finds out what's being done in the wake of all the shark attacks. And Sophie takes us to the Glitter Festival, where we had the chance to meet a whole bunch of fun lovers, and I explore the real meaning behind this week's latest trending hashtag. But first, let's see what's making headlines.
A body believed to be Gold Coast missing person Belinda Lee has been found in Lamington National Park yesterday. The body was found by bushwalkers off the Moran's Fall track around 2:45 p.m. Miss Lee has been reported missing since the morning of September 14. Police say there are no suspicious circumstances with the investigation. Village Roadshow Theme Parks has been ordered to pay $500 in compensation for a discrimination claim filed in 2013. Danielle Kleinegg, who was born with no left forearm, wrist or hand, filed the claim after a SeaWorld worker questioned her ability to ride the Sea Viper roller coaster. The tribunal found the attendant's words and actions towards Ms Kleinegg were insensitive and rude. Turning now to Canberra, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull's new cabinet is set to be sworn in at Government House Monday morning. 3 Gold Coast MPs have been recognised in the new ministry. Moncrief MP Stephen Chobo, Fadden MP Stuart Robert and McPherson MP Karen Andrews have all gained positions in the leadership team. This is the first time Gold Coast ministers have made the cut in nearly 20 years. And finally, thousands of international passengers are facing delays of up to 90 minutes at airports around the country due to the start of a 10-day strike action. Border Force workers are striking over pay and conditions following salary cuts of up to $8,000 a year. Union officials say workers are prepared to strike twice a day during peak periods for the next 10 days. And that's today's news headlines.
Thanks, Aisling. In recent weeks, Queensland has witnessed some of its worst domestic violence incidents to date. The tragic events have sparked nationwide discussion, with governments and publics alike pushing for greater preventative measures. The local Gold Coast community has rallied together, hosting a series of events to raise funds and awareness for the cause. I've got the full story here. The recent spate of vicious family and domestic violence attacks in Queensland has prompted the local community and governments to act rapidly. Early September saw a horror week of attacks on 3 Queensland women, 2 whom endured fatal injuries at the hands of their partners. Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk has expressed her intention to fast-track new domestic violence legislation through Parliament House. Ms Palaszczuk admits that the current laws don't seem to be working and a more adequate approach is necessary. Surprising to some, the rates of domestic violence in Queensland have been on the incline for some time now. Carrie Bickmore, presenter on Channel 10's The Project, expressed her opinion on the topic. She states, "It's only when we put a face to the violence that the horror really sinks in." And sadly, she couldn't be more right. A recent inquest has revealed that 1 woman dies at the hands of her partner each week, and a third of women over the age of 15 experience some sort of physical abuse.
How many more women have to die before we take these threats seriously? And a warning, the following story is confronting.
We've heard the statistics all too often. A woman is killed by a current or former partner almost every week. A third of women over 15 have been physically assaulted. 1 in 4 experience emotional abuse, and 1 in 5 experience sexual violence. But it's only when you put a face to the numbers that the horror really sinks in.
I spoke to family law paralegal to find out what drives domestic violence and her experiences with it on a day-to-day basis.
Every day we probably see at least 5 new clients that come through our doors with domestic violence cases. Majority of them also have family law cases, so there's a little bit of the family and separation that is leading to a lot of this domestic violence, but also there is just a domestic violence culture that's happening in society at the moment.
Tragically, it seems to have taken 3 attacks and 2 lives before Queensland joined the fight against domestic violence. So, guys, I don't know about you, but I actually found this story and this topic at the moment, I find it very emotional. And I mean, as a woman, I think we can all kind of relate to what it would feel like to be scared and intimidated. And I just think it's so sad, and I can't wait for something to actually be done. And
you've got to think about it though. Domestic violence just isn't about the women, you know. There's so many statistics that are forgotten, and I guess, you know, in wake of recent media stories and the way that the media's portrayed it, you know, we see these women victims in these situations, but has anybody, you know, taken the men's side and said to them, what's going on? Do you guys need more support? Has anybody looked at these statistics?
Yeah, that is interesting that you should bring that up, and they actually have done a study on it. And while there are still men, of course, affected by domestic violence, statistically, the numbers of women and small girls as well. Children, exactly. They're just a mile in front of the men, which...
Soph was telling me statistics. What was the...
Yeah, exactly. So 2 women die a week in Australia from domestic violence, which is what we've seen happen on the Gold Coast a few weeks ago. And I think that's just a really good reminder that these statistics are real and it is happening, and to have it happen in such a short period of time on the Gold Coast really opens our eyes to these statistics.
Definitely. I think people are now starting to wake up and see that it is actually a problem, and it's not just, oh, someone down the road, but it's your next door neighbour, it's your mother, it's your sister. It's a real issue in Australia.
And it's not just a localised issue.
No, it's definitely not. And it's good to see that now the government are taking a stance on it as well.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Turnbull just announced his $100 million initiative to help fund support programs for these domestic violence victims, giving them, I think it's something like $20,000 worth of phones that aren't traceable, which is a big problem, especially in today's technology world.
So important.
And other outlets like giving more funding to the phone support and just helping them out. It's really important.
I even heard of a company who will move women out of their homes for free, so like furniture removal or whatever.
But that's an issue. That's what they're saying now. Is we shouldn't be taking the victim out of the situation, because then they have to leave their families, they have to leave their friends, their environment. We have to stop it at its source and not make the victim feel like a victim.
Victim blaming,
Exactly.
Definitely. And I definitely think that now as well it has been declared as a nationwide crisis, and it's not often that happens when you can't see, the physicality of it. It's not like in regular disasters where you're left with catastrophe and you have to clean up. It's more of a mental and behind the scenes. So for it to actually be taken seriously enough and declared as a crisis, which it is, with those statistics, you can't deny them. So yeah, I think it's really important that it's giving due respect. If you or anyone you know are affected by domestic violence, please call the Domestic Violence Hotline on 1800 799 7233.
Moving on, in the recent weeks there has been a number of shark attacks on the Australian coast, and it's making surfgoers a little uncomfortable, understandably. So I took a trip down to the beach to see what exactly is being done to make sure you feel safe in the water. After more than a dozen reported shark attacks in the last year, including one which resulted in the death of a Japanese surfer, the state governments are looking at all the options to ensure sharks and people remain safe in the water. With the recent spike in the shark attacks along the east coast, the New South Wales government has implemented a $3.5 million surveillance program to track shark movements.
We could, of course, satellite tag every single shark and then get an app on our phone and get an alert every time an animal comes close. However, the question is how useful is it? Not every shark is likely to be potentially dangerous, and the amount of sharks that we would probably need to tag is a little bit over the budget.
Tagging's fair, but yeah, drumlines, it has its perks, has a positive and also has negatives.
The New South Wales government are investigating other technologies to help reduce the amount of encounters.
So firstly, we need to, look into the development of some of these new strategies such as electric fencing, sonar barriers, drone surveys, aerial surveys, all kind of visual surveys that also have been used in the past, and to just, get people out of the water when there is an animal close by.
This is Aisling Brennan for the SLAB. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if I'm afraid to go in the water just because it's their environment, the sharks' environment, but I would be cautious if going into an area that's more surf infested with sharks.
Especially with recent stories that I've heard. I want to know what their management plan is. Is it going to be a shark cull like in WA, or is it...
Has that even happened? We hear so many stories about this happening and a lot of news articles, but has it started to happen yet? I don't know.
I don't think the cull has been approved, but there's definitely support in the community, as we saw in the package. I just feel that there's also the opposite. People are saying, this is their environment we're entering. So how should we be able to dictate what they're looking for?
How they live.
How they live, exactly.
I feel like if they do start with the cull though, then it really opens up the doors for so many other areas. You know, if they're going into the ocean and killing sharks in their environment, are they going to go into the forest and kill, you know, animals in their habitat there? So I think it's a very touchy subject and it shouldn't be taken lightly.
Definitely, but it is affecting people. Like the amount of surfers in Byron Bay, let alone, there's no one out on the beach anymore. I've been talking to a couple of surfers and they're saying they're not going out there. They're going to a smaller beach with more people, which, you know, for a surfer, you don't want to share the wave, but they're scared. So it's interesting to see where this will be going.
And I think it's such an image thing for us, you know, here on the Gold Coast, we are the coast, you know, we're the Gold Coast. How do we tell our tourists, I'm really sorry guys,
You can't
please
swim.
don't go swimming because there's threat of shark attacks, you know? Is it just about renewing old measures, you know, fixing our shark nets that we already have?
Yeah. I think that awareness, like you said, actually telling people what's happening and why they should be wary in the water, I think that is so important because people do just have this idea that humans run the world and we can go wherever we want and, you know, there's no limitations for us and there's no, we don't have to reap the, you know, the repercussions of it, but really it is their environment. So just to keep reinforcing that idea, I think is very important and I think that in itself could, you know, warrant change.
It'll definitely be interesting to see where it goes, like whether more shark nets are introduced or if a culling happens or if nothing happens. Like
I definitely think this is a Twitter discussion we should have, guys.
Definitely.
If anybody would like to make a comment on this and tell us your opinion, please use the hashtag #SharkCull and we are the SLAB if you'd like to quote us on Twitter. What did you get up to on the weekend, Soph?
Well, Beck. The Gold Coast launched its inaugural Glitter Festival last weekend. An initiative led by the Arts Centre, the cultural festival is a response to the growing need for greater acceptance and inclusiveness in the community. With events including cabaret comedy, theatre, visual arts programs and the Pride Run, the festival was a great success. Over the weekend, I went down and had a look.
3, 2, 1, go, go, go! That's it, go guys, lots of colour, good dancing cats, go, go, go!
I'm down at Evandale Parkland for the Glitter Festival Pride Run. Ladies, what brings you along today?
Oh, the fun of Fair Day, participating in something that's a gay event for the Gold Coast that we love to be part of and we love being out and proud and showing off all our colours.
And what's the importance of the festival to the wider community of the Gold Coast?
Making people aware that we all live amongst them. We are in the community. We're just like them. We're normal people, but we're proud of being what we are. And it's time we weren't hiding in the closet over it.
Along with the Pride Run, the day also included a 3-kilometre Pause with Pride event, where dogs of all shapes and sizes enjoyed their own walk to celebrate equality. The day continued with a Glitter Festival Fair Day with market stalls, food trucks and music, the perfect opportunity to celebrate the Gold Coast diversity with friends and family. So girls, what do you think about the Glitter Festival that happened over the weekend?
How good was the Pride Run?
It was great.
Did you guys see it? And there were so many people dressed up and it was just, I loved it. So much energy in one place.
I just really enjoyed how many people came out and supported the Pride Run and the whole festival. Like, it was really nice to see the Gold Coast community getting around and supporting the gay and lesbian community.
And different kinds of people. It was families and kids and grown-ups and even some seniors, and it was just so nice to see, like you said, the whole community come together, and that was the aim of it. I spoke to the festival director and he said this isn't just an event for gays, lesbians, transgender, this is an event for the whole community and it's about bringing the Gold Coast together.
Which is really good to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really important that you should bring that up as well because overall, it was just a really positive day, wasn't it? There's this, you know, whatever you think about the movement, the gay, lesbian, bi, transgender movement, it's positive and they're happy. They're happy, and you know, if you have hate in your life, then you know that's on you. But it was a really positive day.
All comes down to equality, and I think it's getting through the people's minds that it's the right thing, that people deserve equal rights.
Just
in
increased
marriage.
awareness of it, really.
Definitely, definitely. Beck, you've got an interesting story for us today. Can you tell us a little bit?
Social media is going crazy for the hashtag wife material. The increased pressure to become wife material is hard these days apparently, with qualifying factors including being able to bake croissants, using the word film instead of movie, and being able to play softball. I took to the streets of Gold Coast to ask, what do you deem as wife material?
In the 1950s, perfect wives were typically women who stayed at home, looked after the kids and had dinner on the table by 6 p.m. Fast forward a few decades and the hashtag wife material has taken the world by storm.
Dr. Nikki Goldstein in her work says women don't need a set of rules and steps to help you bag a husband and walk down the aisle. However, psychologist Alice Eagley argues that social role theory plays out, meaning a likeable mate is selected on favourable, socially acceptable qualities. But as these hashtags and 10 steps to being a wife material article details, women now have ridiculous standards put upon them. Some include playing softball, having model good looks, having a PhD, being able to use a fridge, and preferably brunette. At least I got one in there.
This all seems quite ridiculous to me, so I took to the streets of the southern Gold Coast to ask, what do you deem as wife material?
Someone that's sporty and stuff, like surf and skate and all that stuff.
The vibe you have with an individual person. I've had several wives. First is you've got to have chemistry, you've got to have...
What does it for you? Give us a couple.
Oh, I think they're pretty shallow views, but first I think you got to have that chemistry straight away. You got to be into them.
Story, mate.
Safe to say, after my day on the coast, my faith in humanity was restored. Goes to show you can't really believe everything you see on the internet. Rebecca Sproul, The Source News.
Well, what is wife material? From that package, I definitely wouldn't be able to classify as a wife.
I would just like to point out that I baked these earlier. Croissants, fresh croissants, fresh croissants,
They smell wonderful.
Nice. They look really good.
Hashtag wife material. Right?
Now, did you bake those or did you get them from the supermarket?
I microwaved them.
It counts.
Close enough. Close enough.
Still counts, right?
Close enough.
Look, I don't know about you guys, but this story as well, does it really make you question, am I wife material? Am I worthy? I mean, it's such a bad stigma to have, but...
Some of the comments that people were bringing up though, you know, I stood there and apparently being a brunette puts you at more of a wife material.
Sorry,
Ash.
See you guys.
But you know, I've never been so self-conscious talking to these, you know, these young guys that have yet to find their wife material, and then
the list is long by the sounds of it of what they're expecting in a wife.
But even talking to the older couples, and you know, it's quite obvious that the husband was quite uncomfortable. You know, you can't upset your wife before you go home.
No, definitely not. Do you think though, like, males have a wife list? Do you think females have a husband list?
Definitely.
I think we're all guilty of that, yeah. And you know what? I think it's probably longer, or if not equal, but I think we're probably just more vocal about it. I think that's so
true.
Shocking, this story, is because it is quite hidden.
Yeah.
Whereas we're vocal about it. We're like, yeah, you tick our boxes, you can move to the next level.
You can bake croissants.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
All right, and in entertainment news, Hollywood heartthrob Orlando Bloom has been linked to TV celebrity turned international model Kendall Jenner. Notorious for dating supermodels, 38-year-old Bloom has allegedly been interested in 19-year-old Jenner since meeting at a film screening in July this year. The pair, who share more than a 10-year age gap, have been spotted enjoying sushi dates and hikes together in Malibu. The relationship comes after Bloom ended a 3-year marriage with Victoria's Secret angel Miranda Kerr last October. Another celebrity romance that has stolen the public's attention is that of 2015 Bachelor Sam Wood and winner Snezana Markoski. The loved-up duo publicly sealed their romance for the first time, sharing an intimate kiss as they ambled along the dimly lit streets of Melbourne last weekend. The public display of affection comes after months of speculation regarding Wood's decision in the lead-up to the long-awaited Bachelor finale last week. And finally, Miss USA 2012, Olivia Culpo, has fainted on the Emmys red carpet. The ex-girlfriend of Nick Jonas hit the ground shortly after announcing how hot she was feeling. Culpo blamed the weather, with temperatures reaching nearly 38 degrees last Sunday in downtown LA.
And in sports news, Australian Jared Hayne was dealt a disappointing reality check during San Francisco's 43-18 defeat against the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Hayne's opportunity to return punts was limited, and his first and only return did not come until the third quarter. Andy Murray has given Britain its first Davis Cup finale in 37 years with his straight set win over Australian Bernard Tomic. Despite struggling with a back injury, Murray managed to find another peak performance to beat Tomic in a 3-set victory. And AFL star Adam Goodes announced his retirement in the sheds after Saturday's semi-final loss to North Melbourne. Although supporters did not get the chance to say goodbye, Goodes is also likely to miss the traditional grand final parade of retired players. This comes after a previous controversy where Goodes was booed so loudly by a Perth crowd that he had to cease playing for a week.
And finally, in today's weather, Gold Coast, you can expect some sunshine with light showers and a top of 23. But pull out those raincoats because tomorrow promises to be cloudy with showers and, you guessed it, a top of 23. And on Sunday, we have a bright and beautiful sunny day with a top of 23 yet again. I guess it's time for a Sunday sesh this weekend, guys.
And sadly, that's all we have time for on this evening's episode of The SLAB. For more news, entertainment and weather, you can tune in tomorrow at the same time, or in the meantime, stay in touch on Twitter using the hashtag TheSlab and tagging us in your tweets. Until then, good night, Gold Coast.
Good night.
Bye.